Why you want love but push people away. Hello and welcome. Have you ever deeply wanted someone to love you, understand you, and stay close to you, but the moment a person actually begins getting closer, something inside you suddenly changes? At first you may feel excited because you enjoy their attention, think about them often and imagine what it would be like to finally have a meaningful connection, but then they begin showing real interest, asking personal questions, becoming emotionally available or expecting you to open up, and suddenly you feel uncomfortable, start replying less often, focus on their flaws, create distance or convince yourself that the relationship will never work. The confusing part is that you may not even understand why you are doing it because you wanted connection, but now that connection feels overwhelming, you wanted someone to care, but when they care too much you begin feeling trapped, and you want it to be seen, but when someone starts seeing the real you, your first instinct is to hide. This does not necessarily mean that you are cold, selfish or incapable of love, because in many cases pushing people away is not a sign that you do not want closeness, but a sign that somewhere inside your mind closeness has become connected to danger. Human beings naturally want connection because we want to feel accepted, supported and important to someone, but your brain does not only search for what you want because it also tries to protect you from anything that has hurt you before. If closeness once led to disappointment, abandonment, criticism, betrayal or emotional pain, your nervous system may have learned that keeping people at a distance is safer than completely trusting them, which means that you may consciously want love while another part of you quietly believes that love always comes with a price. Maybe you grew up around people whose affection was unpredictable because sometimes they were caring, supportive and emotionally present, but at other times they became distant, angry, critical or unavailable, so you never knew which version of them you were going to see. Because of this you may have learned to watch every small change in their mood and become extremely sensitive to silence, facial expressions, tone of voice and changes in attention. When love feels inconsistent during important stages of your life, your brain can begin associating closeness with uncertainty, so you learn that caring about someone gives them the power to hurt you, and the more important they become, the more dangerous losing them begins to feel. This is why you may feel comfortable wanting someone from a distance, because when the relationship exists only as an idea, a fantasy, or a possibility, you are still in control and can imagine all the good moments without facing the risks that come with real intimacy. But when the other person starts becoming emotionally important, the relationship is no longer just a fantasy because now there is something real to lose. That is often when your protective instincts appear and you may suddenly become emotionally distant, stop sharing personal thoughts, avoid serious conversations or act as though you no longer care. You might begin searching for reasons why the other person is wrong for you even if those reasons did not bother you before, and small habits that once seemed harmless can suddenly become proof that the entire relationship is doomed. Instead of allowing yourself to feel vulnerable, your mind may try to reduce the importance of the relationship by telling you that you are better alone, that relationships are only a distraction, or that the other person is not special enough. These thoughts can feel completely logical while you are experiencing them, but they may actually be protecting you from the discomfort of emotional closeness rather than showing you what you truly feel about the person. Another reason you may push people away is that you struggle to believe that anyone could genuinely love you, so when someone treats you well you become suspicious instead of relaxed and begin wondering what they really want, how long their interest will last, or what will happen when they eventually discover your flaws. Compliments may feel uncomfortable because they do not match the way you see yourself, while affection feels temporary because you expect people to eventually change their minds about you. You may quietly believe that they only like the version of you they have seen so far and that once they truly know you they will leave, so because you expect rejection you may try to control when it happens. Instead of waiting for someone to abandon you, you create distance first because being the person who leaves can feel safer than being the person who is left, and you may tell yourself that ending the connection early will hurt less. Although this strategy can protect you from immediate rejection, it also prevents you from experiencing the acceptance and closeness that you deeply want. Sometimes people push others away by testing them because you may become distant to see whether they chase you, ignore their messages to see whether they notice, or say that they will probably leave eventually while secretly hoping they will prove you wrong. These tests are not always about intentionally manipulating another person because they often come from a desperate need for reassurance, as you want evidence that the person will stay but do not feel safe enough to ask for that reassurance directly, so you create situations in which they have to demonstrate their feelings. The problem is that no amount of reassurance feels permanent when the fear is coming from inside you, because even if someone passes one test, your mind can quickly create another. Eventually the other person may feel confused, exhausted, or unwanted and begin pulling away, and when that happens it may seem like confirmation of what you believed from the beginning, which is that people always leave. However, sometimes they are not leaving because you are unlovable, because they may be leaving because the relationship has become a painful cycle of closeness, fear, distance and confusion. The person tries to get closer, you become afraid and pull away, they feel rejected and create distance, and then their distance confirms the fear that caused you to push them away in the first place. You may also push people away because intimacy makes you feel as though you are losing control, because a close relationship often requires compromise, honesty, emotional responsibility, and a willingness to let another person affect you. For someone who has learned to survive by being extremely independent, this can feel threatening because perhaps you became used to solving every problem alone and stopped asking for help after people disappointed you, misunderstood you, or used your vulnerability against you. Independence may then become more than a useful skill because it becomes part of your identity, so even though you feel proud that you do not need anyone, somewhere inside you may still want someone to support you. The difficulty is that receiving support requires admitting that you have emotional needs, and admitting that you have needs can feel like giving another person power over you. When someone tells you that you can rely on them, your mind may hear something completely different and interpret their offer as a warning that you are becoming dependent and will eventually be disappointed, so you keep emotional distance even while feeling lonely. You may want someone to come closer while also making sure they can never become important enough to seriously hurt you. Another common pattern is becoming interested in people who are unavailable because they may be emotionally distant, inconsistent, already committed to someone else, or simply unable to offer the kind of relationship you say you want. At first this can seem like bad luck, but sometimes unavailable people feel safer because they allow you to want love without having to fully receive it. You can focus on trying to win their affection, decoding their behavior and imagining how things could be while avoiding the vulnerability of a stable relationship, because an emotionally unavailable person keeps you in pursuit while an emotionally available person asks you to be emotionally present. Being present can feel much more frightening than chasing someone who never fully chooses you, because when you are chasing them, you can focus on their distance instead of facing your own fear of intimacy. You may also mistake emotional intensity for genuine connection, because if you are used to unstable relationships, calm love may feel strange or even boring. When there is no uncertainty, conflict, or constant fear of losing the person, you might assume that something important is missing, but what feels like a lack of chemistry may actually be a lack of anxiety. Healthy relationships are not always emotionally dramatic because they usually grow through consistency, respect, trust, and small repeated actions, but if your nervous system has learned that love must feel unpredictable, peaceful connection may feel unfamiliar. Since unfamiliar feelings are often interpreted as danger, you may pull away from people who are actually safe and become more attracted to people who activate the fears you already recognize. Pushing people away can also happen when you are afraid of disappointing someone, because the closer they become, the more expectations you imagine they have. You may worry that you will not be affectionate enough, interesting enough, successful enough, or emotionally healthy enough, so instead of allowing the other person to decide whether they accept you, you make that decision for them and assume that being close to you will eventually hurt or disappoint them. Because of this, you may disappear before they have the opportunity to choose, and although you may believe you are protecting both of you from future pain, you are actually acting on a prediction rather than reality. You are deciding how someone feels about you before they have been given the chance to understand you, accept you, or show you that your fears may not be true. The painful part is that these behaviors often create the exact outcome you are trying to avoid, because you expect people to leave, so you become distant, they feel rejected and begin pulling away, and their distance confirms your original fear. Over time you may begin telling yourself that relationships never work for you, that nobody understands you, or that you are simply meant to be alone, but being trapped in a pattern does not mean that the pattern represents who you truly are. It only means that your mind learned a way to protect you and continued using that protection even when the original danger was no longer present. At one point, emotional distance may have protected you from disappointment, rejection, or unpredictable behavior, but protection that once helped you survive can eventually prevent you from building the life and relationships you actually want. Breaking this pattern does not mean forcing yourself to trust everyone or becoming completely vulnerable overnight, because it begins with noticing the moment your fear starts speaking for you. When someone gets close and you suddenly want to disappear, Pause before acting and ask yourself whether the person has genuinely done something harmful or whether closeness itself is simply making you uncomfortable. Pay attention to the stories your mind creates during these moments and ask whether you are focusing on a real problem or searching for a reason to escape. Sometimes there will be genuine warning signs that should not be ignored, but at other times your mind may take one harmless mistake, one delayed reply or one small imperfection and turn it into evidence that you must leave before you get hurt. Try to communicate instead of testing the person, because rather than becoming distant and hoping they chase you, you can explain that you sometimes pull away when you start caring about someone because emotional closeness makes you anxious. The right person may not respond perfectly and they cannot remove every fear for you, but honest communication gives the relationship an opportunity that silence, disappearing and emotional tests never can. It is also important to understand that vulnerability is not the same as weakness, because vulnerability does not mean telling everyone everything, trusting people immediately or ignoring obvious warning signs. It means allowing people who have gradually earned your trust to see more of who you are, and you do not have to open every door at once because you can begin by opening one small window. You could share a thought you usually keep private, ask for help with something simple, accept a compliment without immediately rejecting it, or remain present during an uncomfortable conversation instead of disappearing. These moments may seem small, but each of them teaches your nervous system that closeness does not always lead to pain and that being seen does not always result in rejection. You should also learn to notice the difference between intuition and fear, because intuition usually feels clear and specific, notices particular behavior and tells you why it is concerning, while fear is often vague, urgent and repetitive. Fear tells you to escape immediately even when nothing dangerous has happened, and it often creates dozens of imagined future problems while giving you very little evidence that those problems are actually going to occur. Not every person deserves access to your life, and walking away from unhealthy relationships is sometimes necessary, but there is an important difference between protecting yourself from someone who is unsafe and protecting yourself from the possibility of being loved. One decision is based on another person's actual behavior, while the other is often based on what someone from your past taught you to expect. Healing also requires accepting that no relationship can come with a complete guarantee, because trust always involves some level of risk and someone may disappoint you, misunderstand you, or eventually leave. However, avoiding every emotional risk does not create real safety, because it often creates isolation, and real emotional safety does not come from knowing that nobody can hurt you, because it comes from knowing that even if you experience pain, you will not abandon yourself. You can set boundaries, notice warning signs, survive disappointment, and leave situations that are harmful without closing yourself to every person who tries to get close. The goal is not to become fearless, because fear may still appear when someone becomes important to you, but the goal is to stop allowing that fear to make every decision on your behalf. So if you want love but keep pushing people away, do not immediately judge yourself, because your behavior may be a form of protection that once helped you survive something difficult. At the same time, protection that never switches off eventually becomes a prison, because it may prevent pain from entering your life, but it also prevents affection, support, trust, and connection from reaching you. You are allowed to move slowly, need reassurance, and feel afraid when someone begins seeing the parts of you that you normally hide, but you are also allowed to give people the opportunity to stay. Not everyone will leave, not every relationship will repeat your past, and not every moment of vulnerability will be used against you. Sometimes closeness feels dangerous not because something bad is happening, but because something unfamiliar is happening, such as someone treating you with patience, remaining consistent, and asking you to believe that you do not have to earn their affection or constantly prepare for their disappearance. When you have spent years expecting love to be unstable, consistency can feel suspicious, but unfamiliar does not always mean unsafe. The hardest part may not be finding someone who loves you, because it may be learning how to remain present when that love finally arrives, allowing yourself to be seen without immediately hiding, and accepting that someone can know your imperfections without using them as a reason to leave. Thank you for watching, and if this video helped you understand yourself or someone close to you, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more psychology content. Take care of yourself, and remember that wanting connection does not make you weak, because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stop running from the love you have been asking for.